Happy Monday! In case you didn't notice, we are in a new chapter. We're actually in chapter 7. I've got that is wrong up there. So, in case you didn't notice, in your math notebook, you should be in your second one. You all had on your supply list at the beginning of the year 2 algebra notebooks. So we're finally in our second one. So hopefully you can find in all of your stuff that you brought home. I think you all had it at the beginning of the year, but there's not enough pages for this chapter in your first math notebook. So start a new math notebook. Also, you I do not have a title page, which is interesting. Usually I do. I have no. I think when I saved it, I saved starting on page 2 instead of page 1. But anyway, whatever. So let's get started. Polynomials. That's not the word that goes in the blank. So if you put that word in the blank, don't. A number or variable, or the product of numbers and variables, where all the exponents are positive integers. A monomial is a single term. So product means an answer in what kind of problem? Multiplication. So the product of numbers. So this is called a monomial. A monomial is usually what we say, oh, it's a single term. Yes, it is a single term. If the monomial is a number with no variable, it's called a constant. This box and line should be down here, so it's called a constant, which hopefully you remember from, like 6th grade. All right, so let's look at this chart. Is -5 a monomial? It is a number with no variable. It is a constant, so yes, it is. Why is it? Because it's a constant. Now we're looking at this one. 3x plus 7. Is it a monomial? No. Why not? Because it is 2 terms. Let's look at the next one. X by itself. Is it a monomial? Let's see. Okay, so it's by itself. Maybe. Because it's a variable, we have to look at its exponent. What's its exponent? +1. So yes, it is, because it has a positive exponent. It's a single term with a positive exponent. If there is no exponent, it is 1. All right, let's look at this one. X, Y. How are those two connected? Through multiplication. Can they be connected through multiplication? Yes, because it's a product of numbers. What are their exponents? Both of them have exponents of 1. So yes, it is a monomial because it's the product of 2 numbers, and each of those have positive exponents. Positive integer exponents. All right, let's look at this one. I can rewrite it as a multiplication. C times 1 over D. What about then? No, because D is actually C times D to the -1 power. So because it has a variable in the denominator, it cannot be, because it's a quotient, not a product. And if you did make it as a product, it would have a variable with an exponent that's negative. Variable with a negative exponent. All right, let's look at this one. All right, so initially you look at it and say, oh, it's 2 terms. No, but actually look closely. These two are like terms. So before you can look at it, you have to say, is it simplified? Now it's simplified. Now you ask, is it a monomial? Yes, indeed it is. Because it is a product, and your variable has an exponent that's a positive integer. All right, let's look at this one. I just did this one tonight, so it's not written in fraction form. It's written in fractional form, like sideways. I don't like that way, but whatever. All right, so is this one a monomial? So it's division, so you think no, but let's rewrite it. Yes, there is no variable in the denominator, so you do not have a variable with a negative exponent. So yes, it is, because it is actually a product of a variable and a fraction, which could be written as a decimal. So all of these are, if it's a decimal, it's fine. Business. All right, so that was a monomial. Now, a polynomial has more than one. An expression that have constants, variables, and exponents. You can have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, but you cannot divide by a variable. Remember, that's what we were saying with monomial. You cannot divide by a variable. Also, your variable exponents can only be positive integers. They cannot be negative. They cannot be fractions. And it also cannot have an infinite number of terms. It has to have a set number. It could have 1,000 terms. That is fine. The set number is 1,000. It can't go on forever and ever and ever. So here's an example. This is a polynomial. It has exponents that are positive integers. You're not dividing by any variable. And it has a set number of terms. There are 4 terms. Looking at this one, why is this one not a polynomial? Correct, because it has a negative exponent. Why is this one not a polynomial? Because you have a variable in denominator. Nice, let's get down. All right, there's special names for polynomials. So monomial is a special polynomial. It has 1 term. Mono means 1. Binomial is a special term, or special polynomial. It has 2 terms. 1 term, 2 term. Bi means 2, like bicycle. Tri is the root word for 3. And it is a polynomial that has 3 terms. So monomial, 1 term. Binomial, 2 terms. Trinomial, 3 terms. 4 and above, it's just a polynomial. It doesn't have a fancy name. Notice. State whether expression is a polynomial. If it is a polynomial, state if it's a monomial, binomial, or trinomial. If it isn't a polynomial, state why not. All right, so let's look at the first one. What do you think? Yes, it is a polynomial. Does it have a special name? Yes, it does. There are 2 terms. They cannot be simplified, so we call it a binomial. All right, let's look at this one. 8n to the 3rd power plus 5n to the negative 2 power. No, it is not, because it has a negative exponent. And then we can't classify it because it's not a polynomial. All right, the next one, negative 8. Yes, it is. It is called a, do you know what it's called? Monomial. All right, our next term. Oh, I'm looking at it and I see I can simplify it. So my next term is actually 4a squared plus 6a plus 9. Is it a polynomial? Yes, it is. Classify it. It is a trinomial. All right. Oh, this one we already know that it's not because it was in our example earlier. No. Why not? Because it has a variable in the denominator. So this one's left blank because it's not even a polynomial, so we can't classify it. All right, next one. X over 2. Yes, it is a polynomial. We can rewrite it as 1/2 times x, or 1/2 x. Those are all the same thing. So that makes it what? A monomial. Monomial is a product of 2 numbers, a number, a variable. All right. Why is that? So far, it's pretty much just memorization, right? All right. When you find a degree of a polynomial, there's 2 different rules. One rule is if it's a monomial. A monomial's degree is the sum of the exponents of all the variables. So sum means we're adding. Polynomial's different. So first you need to know what monomial degree is. So we're looking at 8y to the 4th power. How many variables are there? 1. Y is your only variable. What is the exponent on it? 4. So the degree of this monomial is 4. What is the degree of this monomial? 3a. It is 1. Good. There's only one variable and it has an exponent of 1. Let's look at the next one. Negative 2x, y to the 2nd power, z to the 3rd power. All right, we've got multiple variables this time, so we have to add the degrees. So my first variable is an x. What's my exponent? 1. Plus, my next variable is a y. Its exponent is 2. My next variable is a, excuse me, z, and its variable is a 3. Oh, my next variable is a z. Its exponent is a 3. Add them together, 6. So my degree is 6 because I have to add together the exponents of all the variables. All right, now this one, there is no variable. So it is a 0. Your degree is 0, okay? Your degree is 0. The number 0. I'm stressing that because your degree is a 0. However, on my chart, if I had a 0, what is its degree? Your degree is not 0. Your degree is no degree. Do you see the difference? So what is the degree of 4? 0. What is the degree of 0? No degree. All right, hopefully you see the difference. Underneath this, you threw the other one away. Hopefully you're... Now when you have a polynomial that's not a monomial, so binomial, trinomial, any other polynomial, you have to find the degree of each term, and then whichever one's the largest, that is the actual degree of the polynomial. All right? So let's go through this one. Look at our first example, 5mn squared. What type of polynomial is it? It is a monomial. So how many terms does it have? 1. So what is the degree of that term? 3. So the degree of that polynomial is 3 because remember you're adding your exponents. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so monomial. Now we have to look at the next one. What type of polynomial is it? 1 terms, 2 terms, 3 terms. So it is a trinomial. My terms are negative 4x squared y squared, comma, 3x squared, comma, 5. All right, you have to compare the degree of each of your terms. My first term, what is my degree? My variables are x and y. Their exponents are 2 and 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. So that term has a degree of 4. My next term has a degree of 2. And my last term has a degree of 0. What is the highest number? 4. So that entire polynomial, your degree is 4. All right, you guys do the next one and see if you get it right. Pause, pause, pause. Okay, so there's 4 terms, 3a, 7ab, 2a squared b, and 16. So the degree of each of the terms. The 3a, the degree is 1. 7ab, your degree is 2. 2a squared b, your degree is 3. Your exponents adding together. And 16, your degree is 0. 3 is the highest number, so the degree of that entire polynomial is 3. this note was twice in your notes. You only need it once. So choose which one you wanted to tape in there. And all right. A polynomial in one variable. So that means it only has one variable. It's in standard form when the exponents of the variables decrease from left to right. If you need to write the polynomial in standard form, you do the highest exponent first. So if we're looking at this one, and we're looking at the exponents, 2 and a 4, which one's going to come first? The 4. So 2x to the 4th power plus 7x squared minus 11. So I did the first part. Now the second part, what is the degree of that entire polynomial? So I have to look at it by terms. My first term, my degree is 4. My second term, my degree is 2. My last term, my degree is 0. So the degree of my entire polynomial is 4. And now classify, it is a trinomial because it has 3 terms. All right. This one, what variable is in more terms than any of the others? Okay, hopefully you said the x, because the x is in both of them. So you're going to write it in standard form, decreasing from the x. If it's in this, if you have like, well, I'll say it in a second. So we're decreasing from the x. So do this one on your own. Pause. Please pause. And hit play again when you're done. Okay, so I have to go by my x's. So 5x cubed plus 2xy cubed. Next, I have to find the degree. My degree of my first term is 3. My degree of my second term is 4. So my degree of this entire polynomial is 4. And it is a binomial. Hopefully you got the right answer. All right, if I had this problem, and the question is, you need to write it in standard form. Well, I have 2 x's and I have 2 y's. So usually you pick the one that comes first alphabetically. X comes before y. So you write it in descending order from your x's, which is actually what I did. All right, so does that make sense? Okay, story problem. This equation for velocity, you're going to see it a lot this chapter. I misspelled object. It should be object. Okay, let's get started. The polynomial negative 16t squared plus v subscript 0t plus s subscript 0. S subscript 0 is the initial height of the object, so where it starts to move. So if you look at this little girl in the story problem, she throws a ball in the air. So where she lets go of the ball, the height that she lets go of the ball is your s subscript 0. Your v subscript 0 is your vertical velocity. So feet per second is this example. It's how fast it's moving. And it's going to be a constant for these problems. And that will tell you the height that the object reaches. And for however many times, for the height that it reaches at however many seconds after she threw it. So t is time after she threw it. So t equals 0 is right when she let go of it. T equals 1 would be 1 second later. T equals 2 would be 2 seconds later. T equals 3 would be 3 seconds later. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So we're looking at this one. They want to come up with a polynomial. So v subscript 0 needs to be a number and s subscript 0 needs to be a number. So v subscript 0 is 30 feet per second. It's how fast the ball is traveling. S subscript 0 is 4 feet. That is the height at which she lets go of the ball. So the ball starts traveling on its own at 4 feet. So our polynomial is going to be negative 16t squared plus v subscript 0, which we already know is 30t, plus s subscript 0, which is 4. And that tells you the height. So that is our function. And then this is specifically wanting to know something. What's the height after 1 second? So height equals, I don't know, they want to find out that. T equals 1. So you substitute 1 in for t into the function that you just created. Height equals negative 16 times 1 squared plus 30 times 1 plus 4. So let's simplify. Exponent first. H equals negative 16 times 1 plus 30 times 1 is 30 plus 4. Negative 16 plus 30 plus 4. Let's see here. Negative 16 plus 30 is positive 14 plus 4. H equals 18. This is a story problem, so you have to write it as a sentence with a label. Some of you guys didn't do that on your test. I gave you credit for not having a sentence, but I didn't give you credit for not labels. Don't get lazy on me now, please. The height of the baseball is 18 feet. I had to look here to figure out what my labels are. Second is anything that has to do with time. Feet would be your height, your distance, height. Homework 7.1 worksheet. Let's see. Please write your answers on your own piece of paper. Take a picture of it and upload a picture so I can see your work. Some of it doesn't have any work. Like if it's a monomial, binomial, trinomial, how many degrees it has. But the last one or two are story problems. So I do want to see those with sentences and labels